I am absolutely thrilled you're tuning in today because we're going to unpack something that pretty much every single one of us has experienced, but, well, very few people actually understand. Today, we're diving deep into the calculated and, honestly, sometimes a little sinister behavioral psychology behind people who literally never, ever initiate a text message. We're going to completely decode this behavior and see what's actually happening right beneath the surface. So, let's get right to it.
Okay, so picture this exact scenario. Think about someone in your life right now. Yep, you know exactly who I'm talking about. They'll instantly reply to your message, send a total flurry of emojis, maybe even drop a hilarious voice note, but they will absolutely never text you first. You wait. Days turn into weeks. You stare at your phone, just praying for those 3 little typing bubbles to pop up, and nothing. But the moment you finally give in and text them, oh, they're so warm and friendly. But if you stop, absolute pin drop silence. You might think it's just a bad habit, or maybe they just got a crazy busy schedule. Actually, scratch that. Modern behavioral psychology reveals that this is a deeply entrenched subconscious trap.
Which brings us to Section 1, the texting power imbalance, a negotiation of social status. Okay, let's really dive into this, because this is where the psychology gets super fascinating. See, communication, it's rarely just about exchanging information. It's actually this subtle, ongoing negotiation of emotional investment and social status. Every single time two people interact, there's an unspoken balance being weighed. Who cares more? Who's pursuing whom? It's like an invisible scale that dictates the entire energy of the relationship. Let's contrast the initiator with the responder. When someone deliberately, or even subconsciously, refuses to initiate, they establish an immediate and powerful asymmetry. By making you reach out every single time, they force you into the vulnerable role of the seeker. You're the one asking for connection, and by default, they place themselves firmly up on a pedestal, just waiting to grant you an audience.
Next up, Section 2, the dopamine slot machine. Exploring the brain chemistry of the unanswered text. So we really need to look at exactly why your brain falls for this dynamic. Today, we're breaking down 4 specific psychological mechanisms, starting with brain chemistry. Listen, this isn't just a minor annoyance. It is a literal neurological trap that wires your brain to become addicted to this toxic dynamic. The first mechanism is intermittent reinforcement. This is a psychological quirk where rewards are delivered unpredictably, creating highly addictive behavior. Guys, this is the exact same mechanism that makes casino slot machines so unbelievably addictive. If someone always texts you back first, you kind of take them for granted. It's predictable. But when someone only responds when you pull the lever and reach out, your brain becomes highly uncertain. And man, that uncertainty creates a frantic internal monologue. Wait. Are they interested? Did I do something wrong? Are they mad at me? This unpredictable behavior forces your brain to constantly obsess over them. You start questioning your own actions, rereading old text threads, trying to decode their silence. You're doing all the heavy mental lifting, while they are doing absolutely nothing. And here's the trap. When you finally break down, when you literally can't take the silence for one more second and you send that text, and they reply with a positive, warm message, boom, your brain releases a massive spike of dopamine. You feel this intense rush of relief, validation, and reward. Without even realizing it, you've been neurologically conditioned to associate reaching out to them with a high-stakes psychological payoff. Basically, you're addicted to the relief of their reply. Moving on to Section 3, ego and artificial scarcity. Staking power in conversations.
Now that brings us to our second and third psychological factors. These are all about ego protection, control, and creating a total illusion of high value. Once you see this framework, I promise you, you will never look at an unbalanced text thread the same way again. What's really wild about this dynamic comes down to one simple number, 100%. To send the first message requires vulnerability. It exposes a person to potential rejection, late replies, or that dreaded feeling of being ignored completely. By refusing to text first, a person eliminates 100% of their own social risk. They force you to take on all of the vulnerability. You take the risk while their ego stays perfectly safe and snug inside a little bubble. In the realm of dark psychological framing, the non-initiator retains ultimate control. They hold what we call the frame of power. They know that as long as you're the one initiating, they hold the ultimate power of validation over you. They get to decide exactly when the conversation begins, when it ends, and exactly how much attention you earn for your efforts. It is a complete monopoly on the flow of the relationship. Which leads perfectly into the scarcity effect. In human psychology, we naturally assume that scarce resources are highly valuable, right? When someone is constantly available, our subconscious registers them as low friction and sometimes lower status. But when someone remains totally silent until invited, our brain just fills in the blanks. We tell ourselves, oh, they must be extremely busy. Their time is precious. Their silence is literally leveraging your own imagination against you. It tricks your subconscious into assigning them this aura of mystery and high status, making you value their brief responses way more than they actually warrant.
All right, section 4, the avoidant attachment factor, the defense mechanism.
Now, I want to soften the tone here for just a moment, because it's really important to note that not all non-initiators are operating out of calculated dark malice. Sometimes this behavior isn't a power play at all. It's a profound defense mechanism known as covert avoidant attachment. People with this attachment style deeply, deeply fear intimacy and vulnerability. For them, initiating contact feels like giving up control over their emotions. It feels dangerous. So they stay safe inside their emotional fortress, waiting for you to breach the wall. They actually really enjoy your attention, but their internal defense mechanism physically prevents them from taking that vulnerable first step. But here is the absolutely crucial takeaway. Whether their behavior is driven by calculated, ego-driven manipulation or by deep-seated fearful insecurity, the psychological effect on you remains completely identical. You are unfairly left carrying the entire weight and burden of the connection. And honestly, that's just a fast track to emotional burnout.
Which brings us to our final section, section 5, flipping the script, reclaiming your emotional power. So how do we fix this? How do you handle someone who never texts first without, playing toxic, manipulative games yourself? Well, it's time to shift the narrative and reclaim your emotional power. Here are 3 non-toxic rules of engagement. These are designed to shift the focus completely away from their silence and right back to your own self-worth. Let's break the dopamine loop with the mirror test, breaking instant availability and shifting focus.
Step 1 is the mirror test. I want you to match their energy completely. Stop initiating. Just stop. I know it sounds a little scary, and it might feel pretty uncomfortable at first, but it's entirely necessary. If you stop initiating and the connection simply dies forever, well, you have your answer. It was never a mutual, two-way relationship to begin with. It was just you keeping a ghost alive. Let it fade and free up that precious energy for someone who actually meets you halfway. Steps 2 and 3 are all about protecting your time and redirecting your focus. When they do finally respond after you reach out, break the pattern of instant availability. Do not jump to reply the second your phone buzzes. Match their cadence. And finally, you absolutely have to stop seeking external validation from a silent phone. Redirect that obsessive focus toward your own goals, your passions, and the relationships in your life that are effortless, joyful, and deeply mutual. Because at the end of the day, real power in human connection doesn't come from withholding text messages or playing mind games. Real power comes from knowing your own worth and investing your time only where that worth is matched. So I want to leave you with a question to really think about. Have you ever dealt with someone like this? How did it make you feel, and how did you handle it? I really hope this explainer gave you the structured insight to understand this crazy dynamic and the tools to step right out of it. Thanks so much for joining me to explore this fascinating topic. Keep valuing your time, keep expecting mutuality, and never ever forget your worth.